Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. If you are new to my channel, hello, and if you'd like to, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I say channel quite a few times tonight. Anyway, so today's video I'm going to be talking about my birth of the twins and what that was like, and just go through like the timeline of their birth, so to say. So the twins were born on the 3rd of December 2019, and they're going to be a year soon, and I can't believe how quickly this year has just gone by. I'm super grateful for them. We just love them so much. They're just so sweet and cute. I've been meaning to do this video for such a long time, but I just actually haven't got round to doing it, but I thought they're going to be approaching one. I might as well do it now. My memory of it is still pretty fresh, so I'm going to try and remember as much as I can from that day. So I actually lost my mucus plug about 5 days before the twins were born. And for those of you that don't know what a mucus plug is, your mucus plug, oh, where's it gone? I'd researched it because I didn't want to give you guys inaccurate information. So let's just type it in again. Right. So your mucus plug, as it says here, is a protective collection of mucus in the cervical canal. And during pregnancy, the cervix creates a thick jelly-like fluid to keep the area moist and protected. So your mucus plug acts as a barrier and can keep unwanted bacteria and other sources of infection from traveling into your uterus. And actually, losing your mucus plug is one of the signs of childbirth. So like I said, my mucus plug came about 4 to 5 days. I'm trying to remember. 29th, and they were born on the 29th. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So 4 days. So 4 days before they were actually born is when my mucus plug came out. And basically what happened was I went to the toilet, did a wee, got up. And when I got up, I just felt like something fall out. And I was like, oh, that is really weird. So I went and checked, and there was like a big lump of my mucus plug. And because I was aware that losing your mucus plug is one of the signs of, childbirth, I rang up the maternity ward and I was like, I think my mucus plug has come out. And they were like, okay, give it an hour and we'll call you back, because they wanted me to see if the baby's movements had changed. Was it normal? So they said, give it an hour and we'll call you back in an hour and we'll go from there. So an hour came and the baby's movements were pretty much the same, but because it was a twin pregnancy, they just have to be cautious, I guess, because twin pregnancies are known for being more high risk. So they were like, okay, why don't you come in and we can do some checks. So we went there and they did some checks. They put me on the monitor so they can monitor the baby's heartbeats, and also to check if I was actually having contractions or any type of tightenings. And I must say, gosh, I was sat on that bed for a long time and it's so uncomfortable. My back was just in agony. It was just so painful. As well as putting me on, strapping onto the monitor to do their checks of the babies, they also then used a speculum to check if my cervix has started opening and whether I was dilating. So once they'd done their checks, they were pretty happy that, I wasn't going to go into labor anytime soon. Apparently my cervix looked nice. And it was closed. So the doctor was like, this is pretty normal. Some ladies do lose the mucus plug sometimes 2 to 3 weeks before their babies are even born. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But because it was a twin pregnancy, and in my last consultation with a consultant, they did say that just prepare for early pregnancy, because that's really common with twin pregnancies. So although I had the assurance that they probably wouldn't come for another 2 to 3 weeks, in the back of my mind, I was aware that, with twin pregnancies, they can come early. So I was already prepared. All my bags were pretty much packed, 2 months before they were born. So yeah, I was ready for them to come early if they did come early. So that was on a Friday when I went in and my mucus plug came in. So a few days went by and it then came to the Sunday, and Will was going for work. And because throughout the weekend I was still getting like little bits of my mucus plug coming out, I just decided I didn't want to be by myself in case I did end up going into labour. So I went and spent the Sunday with my sister. And the good thing about that is that she lives like 5-10 minutes away from the hospital. So if I did go into labour, then it wouldn't be a problem. So throughout that day on the Sunday, I remember I kept on going to the toilet, just like checking to see like what was going on, and I kept on having more and more and more of the mucus plug coming out. And I think I rang the hospital and they were like, you don't need to worry, what is the colour? If you see like bright red blood, that's when you need to like panic. Or if you see like gunky green type of colour, that's when you need to like worry and come in. So I didn't have any of that. So I went home Sunday evening, and I actually even like put up my Christmas tree. That day I was like, I just felt like putting up the Christmas tree. So I put up the Christmas tree, went home, and just like tried to sleep. And I noticed like through the night I was feeling a little bit more uncomfortable, and I was going up to wee more than I normally would. And it got to like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I went and I checked, and I saw like a pinkish, like a really, really light pinkish type of colour in my mucus. And I was like, oh, I think it's happening. So then I was like, Will, wake up. I think, I'm starting the early stage of labour. Typical Will was like, no, you're not. I was like, Will, I really think I am. Let's go to the hospital. And he was like, they're probably going to look at you and then they're going to send you back home. So there's no point of going. I was like, come on, Will, let's go. In the end, he gave in and we went. And so when we got to the hospital, this is like Monday morning at like 5 a.m. Again, they strapped me onto the monitor so they could see like if I was actually having contractions and monitor the baby's heartbeats just to see whether they were settling or getting unsettled. And then I had another speculum check. And this time they said that I was actually 2 centimeters dilated. And again, they told me the same thing. This is normal. Some people stay like this for another 2 weeks before their babies are born. But something in me was just saying, they're going to come. They're going to come in either today, tomorrow, just in the next few days. They're going to be here. So they actually kept me in hospital just in case I went into labour. And throughout the day I just kept on having checks on the monitor just to see if I was having any more contractions or whether this was just Braxton Hicks. And at the beginning it just looked like I was having Braxton Hicks, so they actually took me off the monitor and transferred me from the delivery ward back to the normal ward where you just sort of wait for your labour, I guess, to start happen. But I realised I jumped a few stages. Once they'd noticed that my cervix was 2 centimeters dilated, they were kind of hemming and ahhing about what to do with me. They were like, do we send her home? Do we not send her home? But they did then decide to keep me in. And I went to the toilet. I had an appointment basically that same day on the Monday with my consultant. I had them every 4 weeks, and I was booked in to go see her. So I thought, I might as well go and do my urine sample now whilst I'm here rather than waiting before I go see her to do it. So I went, did my urine sample, and I got up and I just felt like a gush of water fall out. And I was like, oh, that is really weird. I was like, how I just wet myself? That's the first thing that went through my mind. I was like, have I wet myself? And I looked in the toilet and I could see like, it was obviously like fluid, but it was like of a pinky colour. And I was like, Will, you need to call the nurse, you need to call the nurse. And the nurse came and she checked and she was like, right, this is what we were waiting for. Your waters have broken. So that's how in the end they ended up keeping me in, and I had to be on antibiotics from then, because obviously my waters had broken. So just to prevent any type of infection from happening, I was put on antibiotics. Anyway, going back to what I was saying beforehand, so I pretty much spend most of the day in the normal ward, where you're sort of like waiting for your labour to sort of like kick in. But at one point I was taken to the delivery suite so that they could like monitor and see what was going on. But they noticed that even though I was contracting, it wasn't that often. So they were like, okay, you can go back into the other ward, which I was fine with. And typically throughout my pregnancy, I used to have like loads of backache. But I remember that day, my backache was just on another level. Throughout the day, I kept on asking like Will to rub my back. Bless him, his hand was probably hurting. I was like, please can you rub my back, because it was just another level of like pain. And although I knew like my waters had broken and that I was potentially going to be having the baby soon and going into labour, it didn't click in my head that the reason why I was having much more back pain more than normal was because, you know, my body was getting ready for the twins to be born. It just didn't register in my head, and they just kept on getting worse and worse and worse throughout the day. Anyway, it came to about 8 o'clock that evening on the Monday, and in that ward, the policy is that you can't have your birth partner stay with you. They have to go home, and if anything changes, you call them up and they can come back. So I already knew that as soon as we left at 8 o'clock, that's when things were going to kick in. And was I right? For sure. That's when my pain went from 0 to 100, just like that. Like, I can't even describe the shift. It was just like something completely different. And because I was strapped onto the monitor for most of the time, I couldn't even like move or get out of bed, because if I moved, it would obviously like interfere with what was going on in the machine, and it was just so uncomfortable. But it got to the point where I just said to the nurse, I was like, please, can I just stand up? Strap me whilst I'm standing up, because the pain was just on another level that I can't even describe it. I think I have a video of me. I might insert it if I can find it, where I was trying to vlog, but then my contractions were just like, oh, on another level. And you know, growing up, people used to say, oh, contractions is just like having a period pain, but it's just 10 times worse. That is a lie. That is a lie. That's not true. My contractions felt like something else. It was as if I felt like I was a volcano, basically. And how my contractions would start is I would feel the pain all the way through my back, and there was like heat rising at the same time. I could feel this heat and the pain rising, and it will come all the way from my back and then come forward to like my stomach, and at the same time my stomach was like contracting and getting tighter, and it was just an awful pain. Like, I've never experienced anything like that before. It was just horrific. And I rang the bell to like call the nurse, because the pain was getting worse and worse and worse. And she came and she checked, and she could see like on the monitor that I was actually having more regular contractions. So then they decided then to transfer me back to the delivery suite. And at this point, the signal in the hospital is really rubbish. And I was like trying to call Will, and I couldn't get hold of him. Actually, I rang Will at, it was about, what time did my pains get worse? About 10 or 11. And I rang him. I was like, Will, they're taking me to the delivery suite, and the babies are going to be coming either tonight or tomorrow. And what did Will do? He was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna come. The boy goes back to bed. He went back to bed. He was so tired, bless him. He was so tired and hadn't been with me like the whole day. And he was like, I think he just like falling asleep. You know, sometimes you do that when somebody calls you and you're just like halfway through sleeping and just like, yeah. Anyway, he then went back to bed, and my contractions were getting worse and worse and worse. I was getting closer to the time that I was due to give birth. And I kept on trying to call him, but I couldn't get through to him because, one, the signal in the hospital is absolutely terrible. So what ended up happening was the midwives actually had to use the hospital phone to contact Will and be like, come on, Will, you got to get here. The babies are going to come. And Will said that literally once he got that, he just like jumped out of bed and was like driving here, probably over the limit. I don't know, but driving as fast as he could to get to the hospital because he was worried that he would miss the birth. But luckily, from the time that he got there to when they were actually born, to when I actually went into push, there was like a 2-hour window. So anyway, I get into the delivery suite and I'm in a lot of pain at this point. And the nurse was like, oh, have you considered having an epidural? And I was like, no, I don't want to have an epidural, you know. I want to try do this naturally. Not that I was against the epidural, but I was just like, I want to try do this naturally. And then she was like, I'll let you think about it. Because she told me that in the event that I had to have a C-section, it would be best if I did get the epidural before I reached, by the time I was 4 centimeters, but before I get to 5, it would be best for me to do it. Otherwise, if I did have to have a C-section, I would have to be put to sleep, basically. So she was like, I'll give you like a few moments just to have a think about it. And at this point, my backache was just driving me nuts. I was still quite calm though, but I was just in a lot of pain. And I was like, yeah, give me that epidural. And guys, as soon as they put that epidural in, epidural in, oh, the instant relief I felt was just like, I can breathe, because I was in a lot of agony. But as soon as that epidural was done, it was amazing. Don't get me wrong, it's a really uncomfortable feeling when they're doing it. You have to like try and stay still. But imagine trying to stay still when you're having a contraction and they're trying to put like this thick needle down your back and they have to get it like right and accurate. I'm surprised I managed to stay still. I was just like holding on to Will like this whilst the lady was doing it, trying my hardest not to move, and I didn't move. And I think they did it in one go. They didn't have to try again. They just did it in one go. But it got to then like 5 o'clock now. We're early Tuesday morning. And the doctor came and he checked and I was like fully dilated. And they were like, okay, they started hemming and hawing whether I was going to give birth in the delivery suite or whether it would be better if I just went into the theatre and give birth there, just in the event that I did have to end up having a C-section. So they decided that it was probably best that I give birth in the theatre just as backup. So we went to the theatre and oh my goodness, I could not believe how many people there were in that room. There must have been about 14 people in that room. It was a combination of like consultants, midwives, and then obviously the twins had to have their own pediatric team for them. So there was a lot of people in that room. But you know, when you're just thinking about getting your babies here safe and sound, you're not even worried or bothered about how many people in that room. You just want your babies to come out safely. So because I had the epidural in, and before I went into the theatre they knocked it up a little bit more, I couldn't feel any like sensations. prior to that, even I could feel some sort of sensation in my legs, but once they had increased the dose of it, I couldn't feel nothing, and this like panicked me. I remember like sitting there and like trying to move my legs, but my legs just would not move, and it was the weirdest feeling ever. So it then gets to about six something, probably like 6:50, and they were like, okay, we're now gonna start pushing. And I don't know, in my mind, I was going, in my head, no, I was doing this. I was like, and they were like, can you stop doing that, please? I was like, why? They were like, it actually doesn't help when you're trying to push. And I didn't know that to push, you have to like, go like that, if that makes sense. And so, because I couldn't feel anything, they had to tell me like, when I was having a contraction, because you push when you're having a contraction is basically how it works. And I must say, like, every medical person that I came across in that room were just so lovely. It was such a relaxed environment. It was just a really relaxed and lovely environment to be in. And they were all just so professional and so reassuring. And they were like, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. And guys, childbirth is so tiring. I was so tired. I pushed for an hour before Zamira was born, and I was so exhausted. So Zamira was born at 7:73, and Zephaniah was born at 8:59. So they are like an hour and 6 minutes apart. And I remember with Zephaniah, because he was taking so long, because what happened was Zamira's waters had broken and Zephaniah's sac hadn't broken, so they had to break the sac for me. And this boy was so comfortable, you know. They brought in like the ultrasound just to try and like see where he was and like try and wiggle him, but he was not going to budge. And I don't know if some of you ladies have had like the BP machine. Oh my goodness, I couldn't stand that. Every 10 minutes, it kept on going, vroom, vroom, vroom. And it got the point towards the end when Zephaniah was about to be born. And I was like, can I please take this off so I can just give the push of my life? Because it was just getting on my nerves, having this thing just like constantly going off. But yeah, Zephaniah came at 8:59, and with Zephaniah, I actually nearly ended up having a C-section, because they were like, if the boy doesn't come out in the next 10 minutes, you will have to have a C-section. And I was like, I am not going through double pain there and also having a C-section. So I was like, come on, Zephaniah, just come out. And I gave like a big push, and once he came out, I was like, whew. And it was such an emotional experience that I just remember crying when Zamira first came out. She came out and she was crying, nah, nah. And she was all like lovely and red. But when Zephaniah came out, he was silent. And it was like the longest 2 minutes of my life. I remember they put him on my chest quickly, and they quickly had to take him off me because he was like quite blue. And I remember they were just like obviously doing their checks, like getting the fluids out and stuff. And the pediatricians were so reassuring. They were just like, you know, he's okay, this is normal. But as a parent, like not hearing your baby scream, those 2 minutes were just, they were just so scary. And it was as if I was holding my breath, is how I felt. And once he just went, nah, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, they're all okay. They had to be taken to the intensive care unit because they were born early, and they didn't need any like oxygen or anything like that. It's just because they were so small, they just took them into the intensive care unit. And I remember seeing them for the first time. And it was just such a surreal experience. I was like, oh my gosh, these are my babies. Like, I was so tired. Because what happened was once they were born, they then obviously took them straight to the neonatal. So I didn't really see them for like 2 hours. And the lady was like, "Are you sure you're able to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm so sure." But as soon as I got up, I felt so dizzy. But I was like, I'm not going to let them know I'm feeling dizzy because I'm going to go see my babies. So we walked over to go see them, and they were just like so peaceful, lying there. I can't believe how small they were. They were incredibly small. They were so tiny and so like light to pick up. And they were in the intensive care unit for 2 weeks. Not that because anything was wrong with them, but it's just the policy of the hospital where I gave birth that they don't really discharge babies until they're 35 weeks and over. And the twins were born at 33 weeks. So we just stayed in there for 2 weeks. I stayed with them in the transition care. So I was still able to like look after them and do like my parenting stuff. It's just that we were in hospital, and like Will could stay the night if he wanted to. And we were able to have visitors, which I think helped, because I think with now the restrictions that's going on because of COVID, in like the maternity area and just in hospitals, I don't know how I would have coped if I wasn't able to have like visitors come and visit me. I think I would have found that really difficult. But yeah, that's just my story. And here we are, nearly a year later, and they're thriving. They're just doing so well. It's absolutely amazing. So hopefully this video will, I don't know, be an encouragement to someone. I don't know. I feel like I want to use my platform to be able to encourage people, because I remember like when I was going through the miscarriage and even for my pregnancy, I found like videos like this really helpful and insightful for me. So hopefully I can do that for you. Anyway, I'm feeling hungry now, so I'm going to grab myself some food. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!